Hello, everyone. My name is Swamp. Whoa. Got some hard echo going on here. There we go. I fixed it. Hello, everyone. My name is Swamp. Instead of our usually scheduled programming, which would be TikTok Tuesday, this could not wait till Friday. So this is kind of an impromptu Friday-esque show. And I'm sure you can see from the title, it is going to be about the shooting that just occurred in Nashville. If you don't know, I live in Tennessee, lived in Nashville for many years. Don't live too far from Nashville now. Okay, let's start it off before I just go off, because I think this is going to be a tough one to get through. Let's start it off on the right foot, and as if there is a right way to talk about something like this. But from the Metro Nashville Police Department, the 6 victims fatally shot by the active shooter at Covenant School are identified as Evelyn Dickenhouse, Hallie Scruggs, and William Kenny, all age 9, which I think actually we found out one of them was 8, and then the other 2 were 9. And Cynthia Peak, age 61, Catherine Kuntz, age 60, and Mike Hill, age 61. Ah, man. And the 2 police officers who I guess were fired the fatal shots, which hopefully they'll be getting medals and commendations for. At least someone better be buying them a beer. Let's see here. I've got so much stuff pulled up, I just lost it. Okay, here we go. According to Metro Nashville Police Department, Rex Engelbert, a 4-year veteran, and Michael Colazzo, a 9-year veteran, were part of a team of first responders to the Covenant campus Monday morning. They fired on the active shooter who was killed. So I guess that's what they're giving them credit for the fatal shots. Which I said, good for them. Good for them. It would have been a lot worse if they hadn't been there and did what needed to be done. Which, well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. One thing that has been brought up about this, which there's too many things to point to, leading up to this, that you go, wow, maybe you shouldn't have said that. I mean, I think we're starting to see a pattern emerge here. But one that's been brought up a lot that I do think is worth noting, because for some reason people listen to celebrities and they watch things like The View, and they act as if this is just not like what they say is just somehow in a bubble. And I don't know. If you keep telling people that, you know, the right wing is the problem, it's these Christian fascists and blah, 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 what do you think's going to happen? Let alone actually telling people that they should go and murder their political opposition on national television. But don't take my word for it.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have. We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
I think the women will rise up.
That's the activist.
That's Jane
speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
Very soon.
It is the truth. We're not going to do it.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She says murder.
Wait a second. She's
Everyone
just-
kind of
don't say
laughs
that.
and
That's-
says,
You know,
"Oh, she's
they'll
kidding."
Pick up on that and
Yeah,
just run
that's
with
the
it.
worst.
She's just
Joking.
kidding. It's
Well, let me talk to you about.
And then that face, and everyone laughs.
Let's
Is she
move on
kidding?
and talk about Jane's activism.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that's just one of countless. I mean, there's so many clips like this, and that's not even counting the more extreme, activist types out there and what they say, because man, they are off the freaking rails. And have been for a long time. I mean, what do you think I've been talking about on this channel for almost 2 years now? And most people have been talking about it longer than I have. But hey, that's how long I've been here. So another thing that happened before this incident occurred, which is obviously worth noting, the Rainbow Youth Project USA. Tucker Carlson is afraid gun-toting trans people will start political violence. Quote, they want to be able to commit it and they want you defenseless so you can't fight back. And of course, Tucker Carlson was ridiculed for saying this and how ridiculous this is, even though they actively call for violence against their opposition all the time. All the time. And the day after Tucker Carlson said that, this shooting in Tennessee occurred. What are the odds? It's almost like it was only a waiting game before it actually started happening, isn't it? Not that it hasn't already been happening, because we've also had, 3 or 4 other non-binary and transgender mass shooters in the last, 3 years or something like that? So it didn't take a rocket scientist to see this coming. But I guess we're not supposed to bring that up because it's bigoted and transphobic. You should just allow your children to be slaughtered while they're at school. No big deal. Absolutely, totally fine. Another thing that is an interesting thing that has come out is that there are messages on, I think this was on Instagram, from the shooter to a friend before committing this act of terrorism, saying, so basically that post I made on here about you, that was basically a suicide note. I'm planning to die today. This is not a joke. You'll probably hear about me in the news after I die. This is my last goodbye. I love you. See you again in another life. This was, I believe this was sent like 20 minutes before the shooting started, something like that. And this person's trying to say that I love you, and keep, don't, God cares about you and stuff, and it seems like whoever this person is had the right idea. But then shooter responds with, my family doesn't know what I'm about to do. One day this will make more sense. I've left more than enough evidence behind, but something bad is about to happen. This person did call the police. But this person was just thinking it was going to be a suicide. I mean, they had no idea about the mass shooting part. At least we hope, right? You would certainly hope. I'm sure there was many signs before this happened that this person was not well, and probably something like this was gonna happen. One of the main things, though, is this person says, one day this will make more sense. I've left more than enough evidence behind. And that is true. There's a manifesto. There's all kinds of evidence in the car. There's a bunch of writings and emails and posts and art and all this stuff. But one thing that's not true is this person seems to assume that this information is going to get out and that this is going to make sense. One day this will make more sense. The trans activists, the LGBTQ activists, the leftists, whatever you want to call them, the pieces of shit in human clothing, are already trying to cover this up. They're already trying to make sure that the National Police doesn't release the manifesto because, in their words, it might stoke hatred against the trans community. Well, maybe. You think it's going to get worse? I mean, You already went and this person already went and killed 3 children and 3 adults. I mean, come on. Release the manifesto. I know a lot of people have different views on that, but certainly, I mean, is it really going to make any difference? So yeah, the last message this person sent was in these Instagram messages, and then we get to. So the last message was sent. What does it say? 9:57 a.m. So it must have been right when they were about to pull up to the school, because this says, let's see, the footage of them arriving at the school says 9:53. So it must have sent it from the parking lot, I guess. So that's the vehicle pulling up to the school. I guess the doors were locked, and then they fired to break the glass and get in. And here's something that I haven't really heard anybody talk about, but I think is interesting here, is the way this person is dressed. I'm not talking about the gear, but like the camo pants with the red hat. It seems to me, and I haven't heard anybody else say this, so maybe I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist, which could be true. Seems like an attempt at like a misdirect, because a trans person, a red hat, it has become kryptonite to these people. This person would never voluntarily touch a red hat, ever, under any circumstances. And the camo pit, I have a hard time believing that this is how this person dresses on a regular basis. It's either the derangement of pretending to be a man, that they think that this is what men do. I don't know. It stuck out to me though the first time I saw this. I could be crazy, but it seems like it was worth noting, and no one has brought it up. That's what we do here. We break stories, all right? I'm sure it's a coincidence, but to me, it seemed strange. We'll see if anything comes out about this. I'm just not buying that this is... I mean, I get the gear, right? I mean, camo and the red hat. I don't know. And look at this ridiculous crap. I mean, what are you expecting to have happen, lady? And the way that, I mean, watch this. I mean, it's like, this is someone who's watched too many movies and played too many video games and has spent very little time actually handling firearms, and clearly hasn't had any kind of training. But I mean, look at this. This is just ridiculous. The way that she walks out and then acts like she's checking the corners, and like, I mean, come on. Oops, skipped it. Yeah, I mean, come on, look at this. Oh, it's so clumsy. Yeah, I was wondering if the music was going to be not a good idea. My usual music, because there's no sound on this clip. I was wondering if that was going to be a there's going to be a disconnect there. Seems like there might be. And it's definitely strange to me that apparently this person had a map of the school and like had a whole route planned, but seems like she doesn't even know what she's doing at all and is just kind of wandering around. But what do you expect from a mentally ill person? It doesn't. I'm not sure that any of this is ever going to actually add up in any significant way. So there's that. Like I said, I think the camo pants and the red hat, to me, it just seems that's one hell of a coincidence. If that's all it is, I find that hard to believe. But this whole thing is pretty hard to believe in the first place. So I don't know. Okay, that brings us to what I think is a very interesting point to make, or not interesting, but a point that needs to be made, needs to be stressed, is we should compare this, because we have body cam footage that has been released from Rex Engelbert, which is one of the guys that I showed at the beginning who was responsible for taking this crazy person down, this demon-possessed woman. They released this the very next day, and it's just uncut footage from the time that he arrived to the taking out of the trash, as it were. The whole thing unedited. And we're going to watch this and then compare it with Uvalde and see if we can find maybe where Uvalde police went wrong. Because, they did not do this right. Some may say. Others say that it was all they could do. I mean, in Uvalde, the guy had an AR-15, which people are saying this person in Tennessee also had an AR-15. I'm pretty sure that is not even true. I don't think it was an AR-15. It was they had a pistol and two other weapons, one of which was just a fancier pistol. It was the Kel-Tec something or other. I don't think the AR-15 was actually even present or used. But the point is, this person here in Nashville had 3 weapons on them and more ammunition. And this is how the police responded in Tennessee, making me absolutely proud of my home state. These guys, absolute legends, absolute men. This is how men are supposed to act, and this is how police are supposed to. I mean, this is the point of police officers. If you're not ready to do this, you need to get the hell out of that job. If this is not what you're there to do, leave now. Do not come back. These guys, they said, deserve medals, or at the very least, deserve that someone buys them a beer. So before we get to comparing this to Uvalde, let's just watch how these Nashville police handled this situation absolutely perfectly.
Just got an update. It's going to be first floor, main lobby. I'm making entry on the front side. I got a civilian that's going to be in here.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Into my window, someone's there upstairs.
Hey. Give me 3. Let's get 3.
All the way down this hall. Listen, it's Fellowship Hall. The end of this hall is Fellowship Hall. They just said they heard gunshots down there, and then upstairs are a bunch of kids.
Let's go. I need 3.
I think it ended up being that there was 6 police officers who were actually on site who made this happen. Uvalde, I think, had over 20, and they were not able to do this.
Police! Open door. On me. We don't know where he is. Metro Police, open door. Bathroom, small bathroom. Clear. Next, let's go. Door.
And the actual shooting of the crazy person is in this body cam footage. It's blurred out, but just a heads up, I'm not going to show it, so don't worry about it. Even the blurred version, I won't show it.
Let's go.
So don't worry. Not that YouTube would let me show it anyway, I don't think.
Take this with me. Take this. No, that's locked. Take this door. Take this door. Take it. I think it's upstairs. It sounds like it's upstairs. Go.
There's the gunshots. Running towards the gunshots. Not running away like absolute cowards. Real men right here. So that was, those shots were the shots that took her down. You can't actually see anything. Now you can see him on the floor. Had to put 2 more in to actually take him out. Absolutely well done. They were there for, that was 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Absolutely the way that this is supposed to be done. You run towards the fire. You take out this asshole because there's kids in danger. All right. Amazing job. And I'm sure they were probably all keenly aware of the absolute disgrace that was Uvalde. I'm sure they probably had I'm sure they had meetings about it. They've probably even had special training since the Uvalde thing. I'm sure all these guys were very aware of that. And I doubt that they would have ever done what those assholes in Uvalde did anyway, because based on the footage, that's not something they learned in a class, from Uvalde till this happened. These are the right kind of men that you want to be police officers. These are the guys who go in and get shit done. That's there's a certain amount of that you cannot teach. Obviously they have a lot of training, of course, but it's a drive to protect and a drive to resolve a situation like this, knowing that this is your responsibility. You are the one who's supposed to do it. You don't get to sit around and wash your hands with hand sanitizer in the hallway while children are being executed in the next room. And speaking of which, now let's watch the Uvalde footage. And this is heavily edited footage that came out from the Texas Tribune because if you did things right, you get this footage that came from the Nashville police, which was showing it. Here it is, one body cam, the whole thing from arrival to execution. That's what you get. This is all edited. It's all in. They're even trying to somehow make it look better for the police, which is weird because the only angle they can take is that they were sniveling cowards and that they were afraid they were going to die. So they didn't go in to protect the children who died, which was like what? I can't remember what the body count was in Uvalde. It was like 20 something, I think, or I can't remember exactly, but yeah, they were just scared, man. They were scared. Come on, man. Come on. They were scared. That's the angle they're taking that they think makes them look the best. And notice during this, in order again to try to make you not judge these cops too harshly, because man, the shooter, he had an AR-15. That's like a nuclear weapon, you know? It even says that they digitally removed the sounds of the children screaming in the video. So that would be... So imagine this, but hearing children screaming in the background the whole time, and it makes it even worse, which is hard to believe because it's already ridiculous. I mean, this is already disgraceful on every level. So there we had the absolute chads from the Metro Nashville Police Department taking care of business, doing what needs to be done. And then you have these guys in Uvalde. They're not sending their best.
What sticks out in my mind was the amount of smoke, gun smoke that was inside the hallway. And I told the guys, hey, be careful, we're in the kill zone. Because I knew he had shot through the walls.
Careful, guys, shot fire.
I'm just waiting for those rounds to hit me.
This is just already absolutely pathetic. The Nashville police did not allow it to even get to this point. They did not allow this to happen.
You know, I knew too, it wasn't a pistol. I knew it was a rifle. I was like, shit, it's a rifle.
Oh, it's a rifle.
The way he was shooting.
Take cover, guys.
He's probably going to take all of us out.
I mean, look at imagine showing this footage. It's sickening. I mean, it's absolutely disgraceful.
You know what kind of gun?
And that guy just said he has a battle rifle. A battle rifle. Oh, and I talked over it.
It was definitely...
The guy, a police officer just said, I'm not trying to get clapped out.
You know what kind of gun? What's the safest way to do this? I'm not trying to get clapped out.
You knew that it was definitely a AR.
And then someone else agrees with him. Yeah, me either.
We just
not trying to get clapped out,
but just to wait and try to get something that
you did have a choice, you fat piece of shit.
Where we could actually stand up to him.
I called for long rifles. I know that. I don't know what words I used, but I knew we needed to get a whole bunch of those over there because I didn't have one, and I don't recall if Lieutenant Martinez even had one when we walked up.
Stop my truck, take out my AR, get it ready. You know, I know there's schools going on. You know, as we shooting, I need my AR.
Safe. Careful, brother. He shot Javi through the door.
Had anybody gone through that door?
Yes, sir.
He would have killed whoever it was.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we can only carry so many ballistic vests.
That's your job, asshole. Right? You go in the door. You go in the damn door.
It might as well be paper.
Yes, bullets go through doors. We know.
I don't think it's ballistic though, but I got one more. You guys want another one? There's one more outside.
I caught for a shield, but our shields are, I don't think they're AR rated. They're more handgun rated. They're lightweight. You know, without maybe a ballistic, I feel like we're in that fatal funnel. You know, we're there, we're gonna get killed. You know.
Dude, look at all of this gear. Look at all these people that they brought in.
They had this.
And they were still frightened. They were still cowards. I mean, look at this. This looks like a military operation.
All I heard was they said that the shooter was down.
Nashville PD went in with 5 or 6 guys, 1 rifle, 1 shotgun, and the rest with handguns, and took them out.
I'm expecting that. We're going to get scrutinized why we didn't go in there. I know what the firepower he had based on what shells I saw, the holes in the wall in the room next to his, and I know this is horrible. I know this is what our training tells us to do, but we haven't contained. There's probably going to be some deceased in there, but we don't need any more from out here.
There's probably going to be some deceased in there, but we don't need any more out here. That guy just said that. I mean, what the hell, man? Absolutely pathetic. All those guys should be in prison. All those guys for the rest of their lives. I think that's too good for them. As I keep bringing up, it's Old Yeller season now, all right? We got to start Old Yellering some people. You got to put them down. Sorry, it's over. We cannot function as a society if this is what we're going to be doing. I mean, those guys, that looked like footage from a military operation. And you had guys here in Nashville. One guy was just wearing a t-shirt with a vest on. I mean, come on. You had these guys with ballistic shields, completely decked from head to toe and all kinds of equipment. They had more AR-15s there than people. And they couldn't go in to take that one kid out who was executing children in the next room. And if I remember correctly, weren't they saying that at first they were saying the door was locked, they couldn't get in? And it turns out that wasn't true. That they were able to get in, they just didn't. Absolutely pathetic. So yes, I'm proud of my home state and proud of the police officers, the Metro Nashville Police Department. Amazing, amazing work. Put them down quick and let them burn in hell for the rest of eternity. That's all we need. Glasses up, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers to that. All right, now I think I can turn the music back on and it won't be awkward. At least we can hope. So, of course, everybody has... the internet has been full of nothing but amazing hot takes about this whole thing. I think first we should go over the interesting way that the mainstream media has decided to cover this. The headlines that came, immediately after this had happened, and anyone who's objectively looking at this knows that this is a transgender terrorist who specifically targeted a religious group and went to execute its children. That's what happened. There's no disputing that. There's nothing that the manifesto, anyone there's nothing out there that could change those facts. It's very clear. So what happened right off the bat is we got the New York Times here. First of all, it's remarkable how I think only the Washington Post, Chicago Tribune was the only one that even had it as like a major headline, like big that you could actually see. New York Times has it small over here. Heavily armed assailant kills 6 at school in Nashville. No mention of any of the actual important information. Washington Post, 6 slain in shooting in Nashville school. Chicago Tribune, 6 dead in shooting in Nashville school. And where is it here even? It's okay, so technically from the Wall Street Journal, it is the top headline, but it's tiny. 6 shot dead in Nashville elementary school. So that's how that they're covering this, which obviously they're only saying the part that fits their narrative, which is they want this to be about guns. They want this to be about gun control. You're sad that kids died, which of course we all are. We have the Daily News here. 6 murdered at school. Former student shoots 3 kids, 3 adults. This is America, laments news editorial board. So that's the way they're approaching this. To me, seems slightly disingenuous and not giving people real information, because if you compare this other headline, also from the Daily News, about another mass shooting, racist attack in Buffalo store called pure evil, written in all caps, red letters. White teen targets blacks, killing 10 people and putting gun to his neck before being busted. So this seems like a pretty strongly worded, obviously this is very bad. We can see that. I'm not getting the same energy from this. 6 murdered at school. Former student shoots 3 kids, 3 adults. This is America, laments news editorial board. Can you spot the difference? It needs, if it doesn't fit the narrative, we got to get rid of it. There was only one publication that had an actually legitimate headline and was worded properly, which of course came from the New York Post, which out of all of them gets stuff right a lot compared to the rest that never get anything right. If we had actual journalism in this country, this is what every single headline would read. Transgender killer targets Christian school. Manifesto leads to 6 dead, including 3 young kids. That's an actual legitimate headline that tells you the information, frames it correctly, doesn't do this weird, almost sweeping under the rug of the actual story, which was that these were targeted. I mean, what a joke. What an absolute joke our media is nowadays. I mean, holy crap. It's something else. It is something else. Of course, we have some amazing takes from our... What did you want? Just from journalists in general. Here's what we are supposed to care about in this, because this is what's important. MSNBC update. A previous post about the Nashville Christian school shooting included initial information from police officials about the suspect's gender. Those officials have since noted that the shooter was transgender. God forbid. Thank you for that clarification, MSNBC. That is, I mean, that's just some good journalisming right there. The New York Times. There was confusion later on Monday about the gender identity of the assailant in the Nashville shooting. Officials had used she and her to refer to the suspect, who, according to social media posts and a LinkedIn profile, appeared to identify as a man in recent months. Wow. Just doing the Lord's work here. Absolutely. I mean, this is what's important, because if we're not gendering the shooter correctly, are we really any better than the shooter? I mean, that's just crazy. USA Today. Police on Monday afternoon said that the shooter was a transgender man. Officials had initially misidentified the gender of the shooter. Fantastic. That is how you journalism. Journalism. Because that's what's important here, ladies and gentlemen. We wouldn't want to offend the dead child murderer, that's just beyond the pale. We can't do that. Of course, there are many, many bad takes on Twitter right now of this absolute. I mean, there's not hardly even words for it. I mean, it's absolute tragedy. But as long as the victims were white and Christian, doesn't matter how old they are, doesn't matter in the manner in which they died, even though one of the victims was a black man, we're going to ignore that. It was a transgender person that did it. So actually, you guys, we have to go after the victims of this because they're the bad guys here. Benjamin Dixon says these white Christians devils went from thoughts and prayers to actively calling for revenge and violence as soon as they saw the mass shooter wasn't one of their own for the first time in history. Benjamin Dixon? What the fuck, bro? What the fuck are you talking about? Straight to hell. Just straight to hell, okay? Damn, dude. Actively calling for revenge and violence as soon as they saw the mass shooter wasn't one of their own for the first time in history. These are... I don't even know what to say. But of course, it keeps going. But wait, there's more. David Packman says, very surprising that there would be a mass shooting at a Christian school, given that lack of prayer is often blamed for these horrible events. Is it possible they weren't praying enough or correctly, despite being a Christian school? It's bizarre how if the shooting doesn't fit whatever narrative that they've selected at this current time, all empathy and understanding that these are people and there was just a act of horrific violence, it just goes right out the window. Totally out the window. And by the way, what is this? Given that lack of prayer is often blamed for these horrible events. What does that even mean, David? Mr. Packman? What does that mean? Is he trying to say something about how... Is he actually saying that a lack of belief in God, like godlessness, leads to this? Is that what he means by given the lack of prayer? Is that what he's talking about? And then, of course, this absurdity. Is it possible they weren't praying enough or correctly despite being a Christian school? Which obviously what he's referring to here is the atheists or the smarter than thou types, how they like to act as if, well, if there's a God and all you have to do is pray, how come bad things happen to you? Well, you know what, David? I've prayed that God would take you off the board, and he hasn't yet. So sometimes God works in mysterious ways, all right? We cannot know his will. And we are not guaranteed safety just because we ask for it. Especially when there are people who listen to you who apparently think it's okay to go and execute small children. So, there's a lot going on here, David. And you can just fuck right off straight to hell, as far as I'm concerned. And Mr. Packman here, by the way, he posted this. And surprisingly, who could have seen this coming? Had a lot of backlash, and people were telling him, wow, what a soulless piece of human waste you are. And so he deleted the tweet. And he talked about why he deleted it. And you may ask yourself, did he delete it because he realized the error of his ways? And so, well, maybe I said some things in haste, and I didn't take into it. No, of course not. He deleted it because he's the victim here. He deleted it because everyone who disagreed with him apparently was anti-Semitic because he's a Jew. So everyone who disagreed with this fantastic take, which, I mean, how could anyone even be upset about this? That's crazy. Everyone who disagreed with him, they were anti-Semitic, and he felt unsafe. So actually, you may think that the 8-year-old, 2 9-year-olds, and then the 3 adults that were killed, targeted and killed, they were the victims? No way, man. It was David Pakman. Of course it was. God, get it together, bigots. You anti-Semites out there. But as always, there's more. Don't worry. So we have another one here from someone named Spencer Bergstedt. I don't know. I just know he's got a killer beard, which just makes this all the worse. I never want to disagree with a man who has a killer beard, but holy crap, man, this is brutal. And of course, he's also experienced some unfair attacks because of this tweet. Totally unfair, totally unwarranted. So he's restricted the replies so people can't reply to it anymore. But he says, another day, another mass shooting. The shooter has been identified by his dead name. It appears he used he, him pronouns and was a former student at the school. Of course, mainstream media and the law enforcement... I always forget LEO, law enforcement officers, yeah. Discussing the issues are misgendering the murderer. I'm sad and angry on so many levels. And he says, muting this since trans and non-binary folks don't need the noise. Yeah, I mean, they don't need that. The trans and non-binary folk, they don't deserve that kind of vitriol that comes from saying some shit like this. The true victims here are the people who are reading comments on Twitter. They're the ones who are actually, I mean, they're suffering. It's just, oh, God. But wait, there's more. Karen Lopez says, 5 times CNN misgendered. No correction. A mass shooting is horrible. Misgendering does not make anything better. And of course, this has also, the replies have also been restricted on this. God forbid that, you know, people somehow, and again, somehow took offense to this statement. I mean, it's just, clearly it's only right-wing bigots who would ever take offense. They're basically Klansmen or neo-Nazis are the only people who would take offense to such a statement. It seems like maybe there's plenty of confusion about whether or not the shooter is a transgender man or woman, and finding out that the police there don't know how to use the right words does not shock me. But mixing genders in the same story is still a problem. Okay, Karen. Okay, Karen. I mean, that's... you know, you're right, Karen. When you're right, you're right. Misgendering, the absolute demon-possessed piece of shit that murdered these people is just, it's beyond the pale. It's crazy. Should never happen. But wait, there's more. I hope it was Republicans that lost their lives. One good thing about gun violence is occasionally wipes out full Republican families in one fell swoop. I would like to thank congressional Republicans and the NRA. You know, normally I say things like, straight to jail, or you're fired. Straight to hell. I cast you back to hell, you demon. You absolute demon-possessed human being. Straight to hell. Just go back home, okay? Through the power of Christ, I cast you back to the bowels of hell from whence you came. You absolute piece of shit. It is just bizarre that this is the world we live in. I mean, good Lord. But wait, there's more. Trans Resistance Network has issued a statement, which before this, no one had ever heard of this organization. And rightfully so, because it sounds like a bunch of crazy bastards. And we're about to find out that, yes, this is true. They are, in fact, crazy bastards. A statement about the shooting. So this is the Trans Resistance Network. This is their media statement. The Trans Resistance Network has been notified the shooter involved in today's church school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee was a person identifying as transgender, known from online profiles as their name. While it is not our policy to engage publicly with news media, we believe this moment calls for a thoughtful response from our collective. This is it. It's going to be a well thought out, reasoned response that is going to address the elephant in the room finally, that this was a trans person who targeted Christians. I'm sure we're about to get just there's going to be some insight. We're gonna have some healing here. Okay, we're gonna bridge the gap. All right. We point out that today's incident in Nashville, Tennessee, is not one tragedy, but two. Well, son of a bitch, so much for that. We're already right off the rails as soon as it starts. One sentence after saying we're about to give a response. First sentence, right off the bat. Again, straight to hell with you. Jeez. The first tragedy today is the loss of life of 3 children and adults. We extend our deepest sympathies and heartfelt prayers to those families dealing with the loss of loved ones. There is nothing we can offer that will comfort the hurt or ease the sorrow. We mourn with you. So at the very least, they're acknowledging that that's the first tragedy of the day. At least it takes precedent over what's about to come, I guess, in the order of this. I somehow don't think they actually feel this way, but anyway. A second and more complex tragedy is that the shooter who felt he had no other effective way to be seen than to lash out by taking the lives of others and by consequence himself. We do not claim to know the individual or have access to their inner thoughts and feelings. We do know that why do they not claim to have access to the inner thoughts and feelings? I'm told all the time they have access to my inner thoughts by knowing that I'm transphobic bigot. They know that everything I say is code for something else. They're all dog whistles, but apparently they don't have access to the inner thoughts of this person. Sure. We do know that life for transgender people is very difficult and made more difficult in the preceding months by a virtual avalanche of anti-trans legislation and public call-outs by right-wing personalities and political figures for nothing less than the genocidal eradication of trans people from society. Well, at least they capitalized right-wing. I've never seen that. It seems like maybe it's a show of respect. I mean, I know they capitalize the word black, regardless of context, even if it's not talking about race, and they don't capitalize the word white. But they capitalized right wing. I feel the love. I feel the love. Many transgender people deal with anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide, and PTSD from the near constant drumbeat of anti-trans hate, lack of acceptance from family members, and certain religious institutions' denial of our existence and calls for detransition and forced conversion. Oh, jeez. All of these factors contribute to a population that is medically underserved and who often face anti-trans bias. Well, okay, we get the picture. You get the picture, right? So they had one sentence where they did address that the people who died, yeah, sure, that's a tragedy. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs afterwards talking about how the transgender was actually the victim here. And the absolute gall of these people I mean, knowing what happened, to say that many transgender people deal with anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide because of certain religious institutions, knowing that what they're talking about is a Christian school where these people were just murdered. Wow. Absolutely remarkable. Straight to jail. Straight to hell. To hell with you. By the power of Christ, I banish you back to the depths of hell, you demonic piece of shit. But of course, our federal government here is here to help. They're gonna help us with this. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre had some, of course, heartfelt words to express about this. It was the guns, you guys. I mean, when it's a white man, it's about racism, systemic problems, white supremacy, the right wing. But when it's not a white man, the gun just went into the school and just killed these kids. It just by itself. I mean, as a gun owner myself, there's a lot of guns in the house, and I can tell you this because, like I said, I am a gun owner, and I do not recommend it because these guns are dangerous. I have a safe room in my house, completely bulletproof, that stays padlocked, and all hours of the day and night you can hear the guns going off by themselves, bouncing around the room, trying to escape, to try and murder as many people as possible. And God forbid you ever actually need to use one of these weapons, because the only way you can do it is to put on full Kevlar, head to toe, completely covered, crack the door open, run in and jump on the weapon and wrestle it into submission. And then you can take it out, but you better keep a firm grip on it, because the kick, it might make it run away. And then you'll never find it again, and it's going to go murder a bunch of kids in a school, which is exactly what happened here, obviously. So let's see what Karine Jean-Pierre has to say about this, because I'm sure it's spot on. It's spot on.
We must do more, and he wants Congress to act, because enough is enough. In his State of the Union, the president called on Congress to do something to stop the epidemic of gun violence, tearing families apart, tearing communities apart. How many more children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress will step up and act to pass the assault weapons ban, to close loopholes in our background check system, or to require the safe storage of guns? We need to do something. Once again, the president calls on Congress to do something before another child is senselessly killed in a preventable act of gun violence. Again, we need to do something. We
need to do something, you guys. Someone has to do something. The do something crowd is back. What we need to do? We're not entirely sure. But if we stand here in the street long enough screaming, we need to do something, then the guns that are by themselves roaming the streets, like I said, after breaking out of my safe room in the house, will eventually be scared and go away. It's like finding a bear when you're camping, and you make yourself big so that maybe they don't want to mess with you. That's what you do to guns. You walk towards it screaming, "Do something! Let's do something!" And then the gun itself will run away in fear. And that's how we have fixed the problem. Obviously. But yeah, guys, we do something. Just do something, would you? So one of the most interesting things that I've come across while scouring the internet and reading all these things that people are saying about this shooting is that there's a few places in a few trans groups like subreddits and different places online, that this is actually seems to be waking some people up, even in the trans community, where they're like, oh, wait a minute. I see what's happening now. I mean, this is not good. But of course, in the subreddits and message boards where people are saying these things, their posts are being deleted and they are being banned. Because you can't actually want to help and fix anything. You can't. It's only absolute adherence to the dogma, no matter what. And if children die, so be it. You're simply decreasing the surplus turf population or something. So here's a post from, I can't remember, this is the Honest Trans subreddit or something like that, that was deleted. Removed by the mods, because this was unacceptable. So, this person says, oh, let's zoom in a little. Trans posters in trans forums and the trans accounts on Twitter regularly promote violence against, quote, Nazis and TERFs and fascists. They mean it. They want violence. They talk about punching, shooting, stabbing, beating with baseball bats, and they put images of rifles on trans flags. When you look at the targets of the rhetoric, most of the targets aren't actually Nazis, TERFs, or fascists. They're dissident voices, conservative Christians, and feminists and everyday people who don't hold the fringe beliefs about sex that many trans people hold. Last week, I saw video of a 72-year-old butch woman being punched full force, closed fist, by a bearded trans rights protester in New Zealand. I saw trans people commenting to minimize or justify it. I see a lot of that. I've been seeing it for years, so has everyone else on social media. The community tells trans youth that they're under attack, under threat of genocide, tells them death before detransition. The community says trans kids are being killed by legislation. 2 trans people have now taken guns into schools and literally killed children as revenge. The murderous and suicidal rhetoric, the violence against women and children, should have stopped years ago. Another good time to discontinue it would be now. I go into the trans subs to see that almost every reaction to the murder of young children is self-concern. I'm the victim here. I'm in more danger than ever before. This is genocide against us. Every time this murderer's identity and motives are mentioned, we are being killed. There is a problem. You can't fix it alone. It's horrific, it's immense and intense, and it's overwhelming. There would have to be a consensus that things need to change. I don't know what it would take. Maybe it's too late, and this is what the trans movement has become, and this is how it ends. I mean, pretty well said. I think that's credit where credit is due. Someone having a self-awareness moment, realizing that, guys, I think we've gone off the rails here. This, I can see what's happening, and this is not where I want this to go. But of course, this is only met with removal, ridicule, ostracization from the community. It's amazing. I mean, this isn't going to change. I mean, this is what they want. This is what they've come to. This is what they believe. As it says at the end of the thing. I don't know what it would take. Maybe it's too late, and this is what the trans movement has become, and this is how it ends. I would 100% have to agree with that. But, you know, to the people who have not been indoctrinated into this cult since the beginning, this is where we told you it was going to go. This was not at all unforeseeable. But hey, at least it's a good sign that there are some people in the community who are realizing, having a come to Jesus moment, if you will, because it's the only thing that's going to ease the self-destruction that is these transgender activists. But unfortunately, there's still a minority who, obviously a minority who think this way. Actually, most people seem to agree with this woman. This has been I was debating which video or Twitter thread to show of this opinion because there's so many of them. But I'll let this woman sum it up because, man, imagine being so entrenched in your political and, I guess, gender cult that this is your reaction to the shooting in a school. It's just remarkable.
I wonder if the parents of the victims of the Nashville shooting today would still have their children if these trans bills in Tennessee were never a thing. I'm not a parent, but if I were, I'd be real mad at the government. I'd be real mad at the government.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, what these people are sick. All it is a chance to speak about your political beliefs and justify what this person did. How? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Imagine seeing a dead 8-year-old, 2 dead 9-year-olds, and 3 dead adults, and your reaction is, well, I mean, they kind of deserved it, didn't they? Because they didn't want drag performances in front of children. They deserved it. I mean, again, straight to hell. I banish you to the bowels of hell. Please do not return. We've had enough of this. We're tired of it. To quote Alex Jones, we're so self-centered we don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. These demons need to be cast back into the bowels of hell. I mean, it's that simple. It's demonic. It's absolutely demonic. But this take here deserves a special place because this one is truly remarkable. So without the ability to spin this shooting in any way that would include white supremacy or right-wingers or, I don't know, anything, Republicans in general, without any way to spin it like that, because this is a transgender person who targeted a Christian school, instead, this is the way someone, a journalist, apparently, has chosen to frame this. Benjamin Ryan says, NBC has ID'd the Nashville school shooter as so-and-so, who identifies as transgender and had no previous criminal record. Nashville is home to the Daily Wire, a hub of anti-trans activity by Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, and Michael Knowles. Wow. Benjamin Ryan. Wow. Just wow. There's a shooting. But let's look over here instead. Did you know the Daily Wire's here? Well, I thought you were reporting on the shooting. No, I am. But have you noticed that Matt Walsh is a bigot? I'm not sure what that has to do with... No, he's there. I'm telling you, he's a bad guy. I know, but you started this off by reporting on the shooting. Oh, I know. Tell me about it. Yeah, the shooting. It's bad stuff. Did you know that Michael Knowles gave a speech once where he was talking about getting rid of transgender ideology? He even said eradicate it. Oh. It's interesting because I thought we were here to talk about, the shooting where a transgender person actually eradicated Christian children. Yeah, I think you're missing the point here, buddy. The Daily Wire is in Nashville. So, yeah. It's really, yeah, what more do you need to know? So again, Benjamin Ryan, you are today and henceforth banished back to the bowels of hell, from whence you came, for reveling in the murder of children. It is pretty remarkable how many people just cannot seem to wrap their heads around the fact that, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't celebrate the death of children ever for any reason. or justify it, rationalize it away, which is what they always accuse the right of doing. When you say, well, wait a minute, I mean, we don't know that this had anything to do with white supremacy. Let's look into it and see what happens. And they go, oh, you're rationalizing, you're justifying. I'm like, no, I'm saying your characterization is wrong. Let's look into what happened. And you look into it and you go, oh, well, this was clearly just a mentally ill person. And they go, I can't believe that you would justify that. I'm saying let's find the real cause of the issue here. Let's find out what actually happened. Oh, and by the way, apparently it's okay again to talk about how mental illness is a factor in shootings, because up until this point, they've been making fun of people who said that we have a mental health crisis in the country and that's why we're having these shootings. They've been making fun of that by saying that, no, it's the guns. Just saying there's mental health crisis is not helping anybody. But now, in this instance, it's totally fine to say that. Anything to get away from the fact that this person was transgender. Anything at all. And of course, we all know, as we've been told by so many of these brilliant people, these journalists, these Twitter keyboard warriors, the tranny's the real victim here, actually. It's not the children that were killed. It's not the adults that were killed. It is the trans person is 100% the victim. And if we don't protect this piece of garbage, this demon walking amongst us, or was walking amongst us, thankfully, not anymore, this could be bad for trans people, because this could actually be the catalyst for violence against trans people. We're going to ignore this violence that just happened by this trans person. This could lead to violence against trans people, which would just be crazy. We would never want that. I mean, what are you, some kind of bigot? Get out of here.
Hale, who police say identifies as transgender. That news has already prompted some attacks against the trans community. KPRC2's Bryce Newberry picks up our coverage from here.
Demonstrators at the Texas State Capitol Monday fighting against anti-trans bills being considered by state lawmakers as news broke that the Nashville school shooter identifies as transgender.
It doesn't excuse anything that happened. I am concerned about how opposition and people who are anti-trans.
This just isn't fair, okay? To me, as someone who's trying to not be removed from YouTube, it is not fair to me that this is the person that you bring out as the spokesperson. What am I supposed to do with this? Am I not supposed to make a joke about how this looks like Sloth from the Goonies? I mean, this is the real play here. They get people who are obviously disgusting to lead their movement, be the spokesperson, because you can't criticize them, because if you do, you're just a big meanie and you can get removed from YouTube. That's the whole plan. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the play. That's what they do. But yeah, let's talk more about how this person who executed 3 children and 3 adults, the real problem is this could result in more violence. Or as she said, has already resulted in violence against trans people. I would love to hear some evidence for that this has already happened. Spoiler alert, they do not ever give any evidence to that claim, but she did make the claim.
We'll try to spin this.
Concern about tweets like this from GOP Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, writing, How much hormones like testosterone and medications for mental illness was the transgender Nashville school shooter taking? Everyone can stop blaming guns now.
And I would like to point out that absolutely reasonable tweet that I think is, in any other situation, you'd look into this. You know, what kind of meds was this person on? What were they taking? What could this help explain this psychotic behavior? I'm pretty sure that's the tweet that got Marjorie Taylor Greene's account on Twitter suspended again. Apparently, Elon Musk's Twitter is not... It's better. Okay, it is better than before he bought it, but apparently you still can't say stuff like this. We were hoping for the best, Elon, and here we are.
The comparison of they did it because they're trans is very unfair to trans people.
Andrea Segovia from the Transgender Education Network of Texas joined Monday's battle at the Capitol, fighting House Bill 1686, which would block doctors from providing gender transition health care treatment to children. Now, with another reason for the Texas trans community to be in the spotlight and at least 2 months remaining of the legislative session, advocates worry the attacks aren't over.
You can't say that because one person did something that's a characteristic or reason to be cruel to trans people.
But you know what? If the person who did something wrong is a white man, that is all you need to know. And it is then fair to say that all white men are evil and all white men are racist and all white men want to kill everyone who's not a straight white person. But when if it happens to a transgender, that's just totally unreasonable. Why would we want to paint everyone with a broad brush? That's not fair. That's just totally not fair. And of course, this assertion, again, that this has and will continue to result in more acts of violence against trans people because of this, I would love a source that shows that. And forgive me if your face was supposed to be the evidence that attacks are happening on trans people. That's my bad. I just now connected those dots, and well, now I feel silly. The evidence was right in front of me the whole time. This is the stream that's going to get me taken down off YouTube, I think. One last thing for the stream. And by the way, make sure you've liked the stream. Super chat if you've enjoyed it. To activate the super chat jukebox, of course. I should have said that earlier, but I was eager to jump into the craziness of all this. This is supposed to be TikTok Tuesday. I felt that I wanted to do this instead. I know TikTok Tuesday keeps getting interrupted, it seems, but we had 2 weeks in a row. That's a good run for recently. But it will be back. It will be back. So, the last thing that I would like to go over before I let you guys go. Who could have seen this coming? You know, that's the thing, is because trans people are just they're just poor little lost lambs that would never hurt anybody. And as that Slagathor explained in that news clip earlier, you can't just paint a broad brush. You know, you can't just generalize everybody. I think that maybe I can. Maybe I can generalize, and I might be justified in doing so. A beautiful and brave trans person. Kill Christ cucks, behead Christ cucks, roundhouse kick a Christ cuck into the concrete, slam dunk a Christ cuck baby into the trash can, crucify filthy Christ cucks, defecate in a Christ cuck's food, launch Christ cucks into the sun, trans day of vengeance. you know, this is not a fringe opinion, ladies and gentlemen. This is very much, this is what they believe. I don't know what else to tell you. And of course, what this person is referring to is, and what are the odds, the timing of this, right? What are the odds this is happening right when the so-called Trans Day of Vengeance is happening at the end of this week? It seems to me that if they actually truly denounced what this person did at this school, if they truly felt that it was wrong, they would cancel this and just say, this is not an appropriate time. We did not, you know, this wasn't a call to violence that we were trying to do. We were speaking, it was, you know, it was hyperbole. We were being, you know, outrageous, you know, which you could have made that argument, but it seems this is going to happen anyway, which it doesn't seem that they are denouncing this. I think that this is what they want, and it's what they've wanted for a long time. So, just like my hat says, be armed, be dangerous, be moral. Stay strapped, guys. That's really all I can say. My name is Swamp, and I'll see you guys next time.